93.3 FM, and 1320 AM Lynchburg, or by asking Alexa or Google Home, open VTRN Sports Lynchburg. Now, take the fast lane through the topics that matter across the Commonwealth. This is the Fast Lane with Ed Lane.
4 days. 4 days is the last time you can use promo Snoop for InsaneRadioDeals.com to get 42% off of items on the website. Look, we've got McAdoo's, great local eatery. I used to eat there a couple times when I went to Liberty University. We also have downtown Cairo. We'll be adding Los Tacos Amigos by the end of next week, so you don't want to miss out on that. But other stuff like BNC Sports, look, they got a lot of great memorabilia there. You can get a $50 gift card for $20. I mean, where else are you going to get that? Nowhere else but InsaneRadioDeals.com. And by the way, Howler's returning next week, so go ahead and get your tickets for that on InsaneRadioDeals.com. Instead of paying $25 for a seat, how about $16? That sounds good for me for a premium. Even better, you get a general seat for $14. All that and more on InsaneRadioDeals.com. Well, you know what's insane is that usually when I do Ed's show, I'm usually by myself unless Ty Tracy can join me to give Trey Lyle a break, who is on here, who comes to the station from 4 a.m. till about 1 p.m., does his own show in the morning. It's the morning warm-up with Trey Lyle. You should tune in to that, by the way. Very, very good show. But you know what's crazy is today I actually have a co-host, number one. I'm not going solo. I don't think I'm Jim Rome, where I fly solo. No, I think it's nice having another person in the studio because it gets boring talking to yourself. That's why I love it when Ed's in the studio, even though he hosts and I don't. Hey, I don't mind taking a back seat because I love everything Ed's done for me, and I'm glad to be here and will continue to be here. Scout Hughes, who I used to work with at The Light, it is no longer 90.9 for reasons I will not go into, but it is The Light. We worked together for 3 years before I departed, and then you departed shortly after me. And now we're back on the airwaves together, man. We were on the airwaves together. What was it? Oh, you know what? No, I was on the airwaves by myself. We were supposed to call a football game together, and that didn't end up working out. So anyway, Scout Hughes, who's here for my wedding. I can't believe the next time I walk into the studio, I'm going to be a married man. That is interesting.
Wow.
Can you believe that? Of all the guys in our group, I'm getting married? Come on now.
Well, no,
I literally thought Zach Wheeler would have been the next one up.
It's funny. I just got off the phone with him. but no, TJ, I do appreciate you having me on today. It's good to be on with you, but we're gonna have some fun today.
I agree. We got NFL draft talk. That's a week away, Scout, in Pittsburgh.
Wow.
A week away. Now, this isn't the sexiest class, but it's a good class. Defensively, I'm excited for it. I love the wide receivers. I know people think, oh gosh, one quarterback in the first round. It's Kenny Pickett and Malik Willis all over again. A few years back, it's I'm trying to think of random draft classes that had one or two quarterbacks taken first round, and that was it. But that's 2022 is the first one that comes to mind. But yeah, Fernando Mendoza, more than likely number one, right?
Right.
Maybe Ty Simpson if people think, ooh, he might not be there in the second round when I get to him. Let's risk it. Let's risk it for the biscuit for Ty Simpson, right? We're going to have Matt Miller on later for segment 3, ESPN draft analyst, who is going to talk with us on what the Commanders should do with that 7th overall pick, what the Ravens should do with the 14th overall pick, the same number as their best defensive player right now, Kyle Hamilton. We also got NBA talk. Look, Scout, I love when small market teams do well, right?
I do as well.
You know what's funny to me? Charlotte is not small when it comes to sports media. There's so much to do in sports media. But in every pro league, including soccer, they are a small market. The Carolina Panthers, considered a small market NFL team. The Charlotte Hornets, small market NBA team. I don't know why I couldn't think of it for a second. Charlotte FC in the middle when it comes to FC soccer, right? In the state of America. And then you go over in the Canes. It depends on what they want to be that season. They're back and forth whether they want to be a playoff team or lose in the first round completely to the Bruins and not win a game, or if they want to go all the way just to break people's hearts in the championship divisional round, or if they don't want to make the playoffs at all. It's interesting. I feel like North Carolina is more college-based, kind of like Virginia. But lately, that hasn't been the case. And I love when small market teams, like, for example, the New York Rangers, for example. Well, no, Texas Rangers, sorry, for baseball. When they do well and go win a World Series, even if they crash the next year. I love when small market teams do well because it means there's hope that it's going to be different. I love when the script is different, Well, you know what I mean, Scout?
Oh, yeah. I know exactly what you mean because, I guess could you call the Texas Rangers small market? I mean, it's Arlington, but they represent Dallas. But
in the baseball world, they are a small market because no major free agent wants to go there.
Okay.
Outside of Cody Bellinger. Right.
And I think it is good for the sport to kind of have a refresher of any league where you have a team like the Charlotte Hornets who have not, in the games that they've won, which is 44 games in the regular season.
Yeah.
Have this type of success because we don't really see it anymore.
No.
Not out of, like you said, small market teams. And the reason I say that is because, yeah, you've got Boston, who has won a championship. We're talking about the Celtics.
Yeah.
That have won the NBA title recently. And you've had the Lakers that have won it this decade.
Yeah.
And they represent large markets.
Hey, that championship counts. I don't care.
No, it does.
COVID year.
It does. It does count.
Danny Green said it himself. It counts. So I'll take Danny Green's word for it.
But, well, let's even go last year, right, TJ?
Right.
So think about this. Oklahoma City, a very small market. They are the only show in town in Oklahoma City, if we're not talking about college athletics.
Right.
Was that an example of what you would call small market success?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And was it good for the league?
I think so.
Why?
Because it was different. It's not the Lakers. It's not the Warriors. It's not the Cavaliers with LeBron. I know. And yes, I know LeBron's with the Lakers.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
All right. But just for example, it's different because it's not who you casually see. A lot of people will go, well, the Pacers and Thunder. Oh, that's horrible. That's horrible for the NBA. I don't think so. It's different. Both teams hadn't won a title at the time. Now OKC has. Indiana Pacers hadn't won a title in years since Larry Bird was general manager.
Okay.
So it's different.
Sorry.
Go for it.
So didn't you also think it was kind of not annoying, but a little bit boring in the late 2010s when you had, or the mid to late 2010s when you had Golden State and Cleveland playing for 4 straight years in a row?
Mm-hmm. Scout, I will say this.
Or is that a different scenario?
I'm glad you brought that up. In some ways, it is a different scenario. You want to know why? Because it tells a story of many different players.
Okay.
LeBron James was trying to bring a championship to Cleveland.
Which he did.
And eventually he did. Steph Curry. Where was his greatness going to be? Yeah, you're one of the greatest three-point shooters at the time, and now you are. But now you're number one. But can you win a chip? Okay, Kevin Durant. Are you going to win a chip this time now that you've betrayed OKC, as the fans would call it, and have gone to the team that beat you 4 games to 7, right? There are many stories you could tell. Hey, is what's going on in the life of Tristan Thompson outside of Cleveland Cavaliers basketball? But it told stories.
I don't know. I'd like to think that Tristan Thompson is very successful outside of the Cleveland Cavaliers organization, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. Well, this is why I love the Charlotte Hornets. Man, I remember when I was at Gardner Webb, Kemba Walker was the talk of the town, man.
Yes.
All the time. You saw Kemba jerseys everywhere.
Charlotte Bobcats jerseys.
Charlotte Bobcat jerseys. But then they became the Hornets, and he was a Hornet, right?
Right, he was.
Gosh, man. And I remember, then everything changed, and the Hornets, they were back to, it's the Hornets. They're at the bottom of the barrel again. And you've watched them grow. And Michael Jordan started selling some of his stake because he wasn't enjoying it. You could tell. He's enjoying NASCAR more than he ever enjoyed being owner of the Charlotte Hornets.
Seems like he's having a fun time
He's having a great
being in
time.
NASCAR.
So to see the Hornets build and build and build, and cool, you got LaMelo. Next year, you get Brandon Miller, despite controversy. This year, you went and had 3 first-round picks that have panned out perfectly. Con Knipple, the rightful winner of Rookie of the Year, in my opinion. And
I agree.
I love Cooper Flagg. I'm glad he hit 50 at 18 years old. That was amazing. But he struggled to start out, whereas Con Knipple lights out instantly. Con Knipple's breaking records, too. That's another thing.
But also, where are the Dallas Mavericks in terms of contention?
Out of the playoffs.
Exactly. Where are the Charlotte Hornets in terms of contention?
If they win tonight, in the playoffs. Or Friday, excuse me.
Now, I'm not going to say that Con Knipple is the sole reason
No.
that the Charlotte Hornets are doing well, but he is a big part of it.
Major contributor.
And you can also make the case that LaMelo Ball playing 72 games out of 82 is a reason why the Charlotte Hornets are doing well, because he's healthy.
Con Knipple and LaMelo Ball have 300-something three-pointers this year. Both of them.
Yes. And Con Knipple beat LaMelo Ball for the three-point title this year by one made three-pointer.
Isn't that exciting, though? Because what does the NBA play-in usually contain, Scout? It usually contains, depending, the Atlanta Hawks sometimes.
Teams that aren't really worth looking into unless you're talking about 2023 Miami.
Right.
That made it out of the play-in and then made it to the NBA Finals.
Right.
Still lost to Denver.
Yeah.
But still, that's a great accomplishment coming out of the play-in game. But other than that, we see consistency. We've seen a lot more consistency in the play-in games for the past few years, thinking about a lot of teams that have red in them. Miami, Atlanta, Chicago.
The usual suspects.
Right. And then here comes Charlotte.
Charlotte, the Magic, who are finally – I know they looked horrible their last game against the Celtics bench and then not as good against the Sixers previously, but – Magic, they're sparking. They're looking good, and I really think the NBA this year has been really fun to watch, and it's one of the major reasons I feel like small market teams are doing well, and it makes it fun to not watch the bigger teams, the teams that every free agent wants to go to, dominating everything while everyone stays at the bottom, because now you've got a fan base that's Charlotte fan base is fun to watch.
I agree.
I love it, man. I haven't been to a Panthers game since I was at Gardner Webb. I went when O.J. Howard was the tight end at the Bucks with Jameson Winston.
Famous Jameis
at QB. And Cam Newton was still the quarterback of Carolina.
Good times.
Good times.
Your point.
My point is, every time I've gone to a Panther game, it's been electric. Every time I go to a Hornets game, it's electric. So you're starting to see... People are starting to see this more worldwide. And I think when you start to see that atmosphere, it adds to that excitement.
But here's the thing about it. And if we have to move on, you tell me.
Yeah,
but
we will after this.
But in terms of the Charlotte Hornets, the excitement and the fans being so electric, in my eyes, because I've been to a lot of Hornets games and even a few Bobcats games. I started following it in 2013. Anyway, it was electric even when they were bad.
Yeah, it was.
And you can say, oh, well, North Carolina isn't like a professional sports state. Well, I don't know about that. I think that Tobacco Road certainly has not a chokehold, but a very good presence on North Carolina sports in general. But we're starting to see, the Charlotte Hornets, they're in the play-in. The Carolina Panthers, they won the division.
Yeah.
Had to get some help from Atlanta, but it worked out. Or was it New Orleans? I can't remember. Point being. And then the Hurricanes, they've made the playoffs for 8 straight years now, and the East has to run through Raleigh.
Yep. This year especially, Canes are the top.
And fans are always there regardless. Anyway.
And I know that's North Carolina sports, but it's perfect because North Carolina, unlike Virginia, has pro sports, multiple pro sports, and
Kind of shocking to me.
kind of shocking. Yeah. One day, Virginia will have a pro sports team.
I'll say this and then we can move on.
Yeah, absolutely.
You remember about 2 years ago when the Wizards and the Capitals and Monumental Sports, they were going to they were planning to move to Alexandria.
Yes.
And it ended up not happening. And the mayor of DC, Mayor Bowser, she basically ended up giving in to the Wizards' demands to renovate Capital One Arena and promising a certain amount of events and going on there. But there was a good possibility there that the Wizards and the Capitals were going to be in Alexandria.
That would have been something. And Alexandria has a great history when it comes to America itself. So
when was the last time Virginia had a pro sports team? Was it the Virginia Squires when Dr. J was playing for them?
I know there were always talks about moving the Washington to Virginia, but they never could figure it out.
And then there was the late boom of expansion in the NHL in the late 90s. And you had this idea that came from George Shinn, who, funny enough, was also at the time the Charlotte Hornets owner, of bringing an NHL team to the Hampton Roads area, called the Hampton Roads Rhinos.
Yeah.
That didn't work out either, but that was a cool logo.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Anyway.
You want to know what's cool, though?
What?
I love the new Washington Commander uniform.
I do as well.
Speaking
of a new look.
Speaking of the burgundy, the burgundy looks nice, but the black gets me. The black uniforms with the Washington logo with the spear through the W.
The spear is what does it for me.
Yeah. So check it out on Twitter. The Commanders have it posted up right now. They released it yesterday. I personally think they look really, I hope they go back to red on red, burgundy on burgundy at one point, red on red. I always did like that match together.
But other than that, did you think that the home and away changed that much?
No,
at first glance, I didn't think that.
It's the same thing I thought about the Falcons. They look too similar. It just looks very similar.
And I like that the Commanders they call it the Hail Razor, with their new alternate uniform with the all black, like you were talking about, the golden spear going through the W on the helmet.
Absolutely.
I like that. It brings back a little bit of history of it. And listen, HTTC, Hail to the Commanders.
Yep.
It's a part of it.
Yep.
And if you have a chance to look it up on the internet, the new Hail Razor alternate uniforms, really nice.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It looks really good. I'm really excited to see. Really excited because I think, you talk about the Commanders who had a bad year, but I feel like they can really change it around.
I mean, a lot of that was because of injuries.
Exactly.
And I feel like the bar was set pretty high after.
And understandably so, because you retained a lot of those players.
Right.
And then you got Tunsil, and you're like, okay, O-line looks good. Maybe Jaden can play without getting hit 100 times a game. Obviously, that didn't happen.
And then remind me, who was the wideout that came from San Fran?
Debo Samuel.
Debo Samuel.
And
there was high hopes for that.
There was high hopes for a lot of Debo's play that didn't translate. And then Terry, you could tell, missed training camp and never could catch up.
Well, wasn't there a contract dispute?
Yeah, that's exactly why.
Right.
So you like to think maybe it looks better for them, depending on who they draft. There's a lot of talk about what they could draft. I personally think they should go DB in the NFL draft, which is a week away, and we'll be airing here on VTRN Sports 93.3 FM and the VTRN Sports app, wherever you listen. Wherever you can download apps. Download the VTRN Sports app or ask your smart speaker, hey, Siri, open VTRN Sports. Alexa, open VTRN Sports. You can listen to the NFL draft live here on our station. If I'm the Commanders, I want DB. Now, we got Matt Miller coming on later on today. I'm interested to hear what he has to say. Big get. He's one of the biggest draft nerds out there and knows what he's talking about. I would even argue maybe more than Mel Kiper. I'd say Matt Miller probably knows a little more than Mel Kiper and isn't all about the hot takes. I love Mel Kiper, though. Love seeing him every year.
So Mr. Miller is the one that you think should be on TV?
I do think Miller should be on TV more, and I should tell him that when he comes on, actually. Hopefully he doesn't feel weird with all the glazing that happens when he comes on to the air. But we'll find out. Okay, we'll cap it off on this. Scout, before we go into commercial,
Okay.
what is your draft outlook? You know, when you look at the Commanders, what I feel defense, because you lost Marshawn Lattimore, right? You lost Jonathan Jones. I feel like kind of like the Cowboys, Washington is hurting that backfield. Maybe an edge rusher, maybe a receiver to replace Debo. You don't have a second round pick. Got to be careful what you do first round unless you can get some capital.
I think it would be kind of smart to get insurance at the wide receiver position if something goes wrong with a Deebo Samuel or if something goes wrong with a Scary Terry.
Yeah. Because
I don't
Debo's
know.
not back on the team yet. They haven't signed him.
Exactly.
So you're wondering, are they even going to bother?
It's the uncertainty.
Yeah.
Do you take that risk?
Arnell Tate, KC Concepcion, if you shoot too high, Mekhi Lemon.
I was thinking Mr. Tate.
Mr. Tate, yeah. I think Arnell Tate's is definitely the best receiver.
Of course, then there's also that Ohio State connection.
Yeah.
With him and Terry.
Yeah. Ohio State is wide receiver U. It is.
So they say.
Hey, look, you know, if NC State could keep their guys from transfer and scout, they could be wide receiver U. Because then KC Concepcion, I was so sad Kelvin Harmon never worked out. That was one of my favorite receivers coming out of NC State. Got drafted by Washington. I don't know what happened, but I had high hopes for him. I remember that. Gosh.
He wasn't the only ball catcher that transferred out. You remember Thaddeus Moss, Randy Moss's son?
Didn't he go to LSU after
He
leaving State?
He did.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm pretty sure he was successful at LSU.
Yeah. Kind of like CJ Daniels when he left Liberty, right? And then went to Miami and finished it off there.
I heard his name on TV. I was like, I know that guy from somewhere. Yeah. Where do I know that?
I still have footage on my phone from that touchdown that Malik threw him when he the catch was amazing itself. Okay, when we come back, we're going to have Jeremy Grandison join us to get ready for these NBA playoffs, including looking at the Charlotte Hornets, because wow, what a team to watch. Can they pull off an upset? If you're the Charlotte Hornets and you do survive Friday, you do beat the Magic, is it better to play the Pistons, the number 1 seed, over the Boston Celtics who are at 2? That's 76ers' problem. We'll find out from Jeremy's opinion and Scout's, because we hope Scout gives his opinion on the second segment. When we come back, don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Fast Lane with no Ed Lane for today on the VTR and Sports app and 93.3 FM.
Here we grow again at the Sheeler Motor Mile. It's here, the all-new Motor Mile Chevrolet and Buick in Radford. More brands, more selection, and the same exceptional service you expect from a trusted community partner. Whether you're shopping Chevrolet or Buick, you'll find quality, value, and a team that puts you first. From rugged trucks and SUVs to stylish cars and family-friendly vehicles, the Motor Mile has something for everyone. With straightforward pricing and top dollar for your trade, there's no better place to buy. Bring us your trade, newer, older, paid off or not, and see why your car is worth more on the Motor Mile. Plus, with more inventory arriving daily, now is the time to shop the Motor Mile. Sheeler owns the finance company and makes getting approved for credit simple and easy on the Motor Mile. Flexible financing options for every budget to get you on the road fast. Experience the Motor Mile at 3 convenient locations: Christiansburg, Radford, and Pulaski. For over 50 years, we've got Southwest Virginia covered. The all-new Motor Mile Chevrolet and Buick in Radford. Certified friendly staff. No games, no gimmicks. Call 866-SHEELER1. Always open at MotorMileChevroletBuick.com.
Hi, Gary the Third here, and I'm excited to say spring has arrived at Gary's Garden Center with great plants and a great selection. Gary's has seasonal color flowers along with vegetables, 60-plus varieties of herbs, perennial flowers, and much more. With friendly service and great advice, we are always happy to answer your questions. Visit Gary's Garden Center at 794 Leesville Road for all your lawn and garden needs. Stop by, say hi, and take a look around.
Midday hunger hitting you hard? Swing by Macadoo's for our $8.95 weekday lunch specials. Whether you're craving a classic crunch or something fresh, we've got you covered. Chicken tender basket featuring crispy golden tenders served with fries. The Macadoo's Chef Salad, a healthy, loaded favorite that will hit the spot. Hit back against your lunchtime hunger at Macadoo's with eats that won't break the bank.
Time to share it and have fun. Just to be there the only one. Just to be there at Macadoo's.
We'll see you at the Do's. Hey, Hokie fans, are you still getting your Hokie sports news from other outlets, or even worse, the newspaper? Well, you're missing out. Tech Sideline has assembled the largest and most talented team to ever cover Virginia Tech athletics. If you want Hokie sports coverage that is second to none and will make you the smartest fan at the tailgate, subscribe to TechSideline.com for just $12 a month or $120 a year. Tech Sideline, all Hokie, all the time, period. Subscribe today at TechSideline.com.
Ready for a getaway? Whether if it's a beach trip, mountain retreat, or a long-awaited family adventure, Farmers Bank can help you get there. Our vacation loan options offer simple terms and local services you can trust, so you can focus on making memories and not stressing over financing. Life moves fast. Take time to recharge and reconnect. When you're ready to plan your next escape, we're ready to help. Farmers Bank, your community, your bank, your future.
Hi, this is Delegate Wendell Walker. In 2020, 66% of Virginians voted to end partisan gerrymandering. We voted for fair maps, and both parties supported it. Now, the Democrats want to shred that process, rig our maps, and create districts that only one party can win. This amendment is a power grab that takes choices away from the voters. Protect your voice and vote no April 21st.
This was a guest editorial with the Virginia Talk Radio Network.
When you walk into Haley's, you see the size and selection of a big box store. Over 19,000 square feet of appliances and mattresses. Leading appliances like KitchenAid, Whirlpool, Maytag, Genair, Speed Queen, GE, and Monogram. And mattresses like Sealy, Serta, and Tempur-Pedic. So what's the difference? A family, locally owned business. And a staff committed to servicing you over the entire life of the product. That means before, during, and well after your purchase. Visit Haley's today, just off Ward Road in Lynchburg. Haley's, quality that counts.
Looking for everything happening in and around Central Virginia that used to be in the morning paper? Start your day at the lynchburgportal.com. Get the latest news updates from Bill Trevero, plus up-to-date weather from VTRN's own in-house meteorologist, Matt Ferguson. So you're always in the know before you head out the door. Want to listen on the go? Stream classic hits on Rewind 103.9. Get breaking local news on WIQO, or catch the best sports talk and play-by-play on VTRN Sports, powered by ESPN Radio, all right from the portal. Looking to save? Check out insane radio deals for great local discounts, or explore local podcasts featuring the voices and stories that make our community special. Plus, connect with local businesses through the Lynchburg Business Alliance directory and stay in the loop on the latest events from Lynchburg tourism. It's all right here. Local news, weather, sports, deals, and more at the lynchburgportal.com. Your gateway to everything Lynchburg.
Hi, I'm Zach Mackey, the voice of Virginia Tech men's basketball. Catch the Fast Lane with Ed Lane and Trey Lyle weekdays 5 to 6 p.m. on VTRN Sports 93.3 FM and the VTRN Sports app.
Step into the Fast Lane 24/7 at Trey Lyle VT and Fast Lane Ed Lane on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Now, back to the Fast Lane.
The DOJ right now is investigating the NFL because the NFL has all their games on these different networks, right? And they're saying, hey, that's crazy that people have to pay all this money just to watch what we used to watch locally. Let's investigate that. You know what they will never have to investigate? The deals at insaneradiodeals.com. 42% off every purchase that you make there until the 20th. So you want to invest in something that the DOJ will never get suspicious of because it's legal and it's right. And it's insaneradiodeals.com. But you know what? I don't mind watching a few games on Amazon Prime from time to time. Kind of like the other night where we watched the Charlotte Hornets game on Prime. And somebody who watched it alongside, who will be joining us here today, Jeremy Grandison will be joining us here. Jeremy, first off, how are you, man? It's been a while since you and I talked, almost the whole season.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Okay, what's up, TJ? Been a while. Appreciate you hitting me up and making this happen. Yeah, the last time we talked was maybe the NBA draft, around the NBA draft time, and now some things have been going right for the Hornets. So I'm glad to hop on and talk some Hornets and just NBA as a whole with you guys.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up because Scout and I were just talking about Cooper Flagg versus Con Knipple for Rookie of the Year. If Cooper Flagg wins it over Con Knipple, do you think it's because the NBA feels like the bigger market team should get the award? Or do you feel like Cooper Flagg has definitely outperformed Con Knipple in other ways outside of the game?
I think if Cooper wins, it'll be because people will want to look back in 10 years and say the better player of the two won the award. I don't think it's arguable that in 10 years, in 5 years even, people will say Cooper Flagg is an all-star. Cooper Flagg is an all-NBA player. Cooper Flagg is a number one option on a team that made the NBA playoffs. I don't think you can say the same for Con Knipple. With that being said, I think Con has contributed to winning more than Cooper Flagg has this year. And I hear a lot of arguments with people saying, well, Cooper Flagg is on everyone's scouting report. You have to scout for Cooper Flagg when you play the Mavericks. You have to scout for Con Knipple when you play the Hornets. As someone who covers his team game in and game out, I have to go to those pregame press conferences and hear Rick Carlisle and JB Bickerstaff and Doc Rivers and all these guys tell us that, hey, we understand he's a rookie, but we do not treat him like a rookie. We have him at the top of our scouting report because if we can cut the head off the snake that is Con Knipple, then we can kind of, have a better way of defending the rest of the Hornets team. So whenever I hear Cooper Flagg has a bigger role, yes, maybe, but that doesn't mean that Con Knipple isn't a massive part of the Hornets team and the Hornets' success.
Absolutely. Jeremy Grandison, by the way, NBA contributor for Forecast Sports, is joining the fast lane here. Jeremy, Charlotte looked live the other night like it usually does, but post-game, we're finally returning after a while since, Brett, please correct me if I'm wrong, but Kemba Walker was on the team the last time this team had postseason appearance.
I think LaMelo Ball has played in a few playing games, but they have all been on the road. They haven't been in Spectrum Center. So technically, the last time that there's been a home playoff game in the Spectrum Center was during the Kemba Walker era.
Absolutely. Well, when you look at what the Hornets are doing right now, and they face up against the Magic, who have had their struggles, what do you see from this matchup? I know, unfortunately, it's not in Charlotte. It's going to Orlando, so no Charlotte Magic for the fans there. But what do you see from this game? Do you feel like Orlando can bounce back, or do you feel like Charlotte's too hot right now to really be defeated, even if LaMelo Ball doesn't accidentally trip somebody?
I think if this was a 3-game series, the Hornets would win. I think that if this was a 5-game series, the Hornets would win. I think if it was a 7-game series, the Hornets would win. The part that gives me a little bit of trepidation is that it's a 1-game scenario. And the Orlando Magic, for as bad as they've been playing as of late, they are a massive team. And the Hornets are the exact opposite, where you have guys like LaMelo Ball and Con Knipple and Brandon Miller and even Miles Bridges, who's a physical player. But Miles is a little undersized at the 4, and Musa is a physical player. He's a little undersized at the 5. And I'm thinking about the previous matchups, not this year, but last year that I watched. And Brandon's having to guard Franz Wagner. And Jalen Suggs picking up LaMelo Ball 94 feet. And Miles Bridges is having to guard someone who's 5 inches taller than him in Paolo Banchero. And when I think about a 1-game scenario, the foul trouble is something that really, really worries me because we've seen Brandon have a lot of trouble with picking up those early fouls. It takes him out of his rhythm early in those games. And then you have to hope that he can kind of find it late in that 3rd and 4th quarter to bring you home across the finish line. But man, I've seen these two teams face off for the past 3 years I've covered the team. And usually the Magic get the better of the Hornets, not because they're the more talented team, but because they're the bigger team. And you can usually feel it and sense it when you watch these matchups.
Yeah. Do you have a question for Jeremy?
I can't hear you, Scout.
Okay, sorry about that. Would you rely specifically on a small ball lineup if you are the Charlotte Hornets and kind of see if you can use that to your advantage?
So when the Heat were in town a few days ago, someone asked Eric Spoelstra about, like, what do you do in a game like this? Do you deploy any new wrinkles? Do you have new adjustments? And Eric Spoelstra said, no, we're going to be who we are, who we've been the entire season. And this game is going to come down to who can impose their will against the other team the most. So if I'm the Hornets, I'm not trying to go small or counteract the Magic. I'm going to play my style of basketball. What's made the Hornets all year long? Be a fast-paced team, get up shots, maybe not even fast-paced, but get into your actions early. So I think there's this misconception that the Hornets are a very, very fast-paced team. They're not. They're actually the 6th slowest team in the NBA. But what they do to make you think they're fast is they inbound the ball really fast off of makes. When they get a rebound, they advance the ball super fast. Those things might not come up in the advanced analytics, but they do help the viewer think they're a fast team. So to answer your question, Scout, I would say I wouldn't try and go small and counteract what the Magic do. In a one-game scenario, you know who you are. You know who your best players are. You know how you play. It's all about doing what you do best more than allowing Orlando to do what they do best.
Jeremy Grandison, who is from Forecast Sports, covers the Charlotte Hornets, has joined the Fast Lane. Jeremy, Scout and I were talking in the first segment before you came on into the green room, and I made a comment. I said, I feel like I would want to play the Detroit Pistons more than I would the Boston Celtics if I'm Charlotte and survive against the Magic. Now, the Pistons look good. I know Cade Cunningham, thank God he gets to be up for those awards because of a special request accommodation because of it, the 65 game thing and everything. But do you feel like if you're the Hornets or the Magic, is it better to play the Pistons than the Celtics? Is that a hot take to say?
Well, the loser of this or the winner of the game is locked into the 8th seed regardless. The Celtics are playing the Sixers. That matchup is already secured. I guess to answer your question, I mean, if I'm the Hornets, and this might sound a little bad, they're going to lose in terrible fashion to both teams. They cannot match up with the Pistons' physicality, and they cannot match up with the Celtics' experience. Those are two things that they will not be able to overcome. The bigger thing about making the playoffs isn't about giving these teams a run for their money in the first round. The biggest part is allowing the players like LaMelo and Brandon and Khan and even Miles Bridges, even Sion James, everyone on the team, not counting Josh Green and Grant Williams, to get and experience what a 7-game playoff series feels like. The play-in tournament, for as great as it has been, for as lively as the Spectrum Center has been, it is not a 7-game series where you have to make adjustments game 1, game 2, game 3, and kind of be able to counteract what a team is throwing at you by each game. So my thing I've said all year, and I don't want this to get aggregated or whatever, but I want to see Brandon Miller get punched in the face. I want to see LaMelo Ball get punched in the face. I want to see Colin Knippel get punched in the face. And I don't mean that literally. What I mean is a great example is, the Thompson twins, Azar Thompson and Amen Thompson last year. They were in their second year in the league. Azar Thompson was told by the coaching staff of the Pistons, hey, you're guarding Jalen Brunson for the entire series. Amen Thompson was told, hey, it's your second year in the league. You're guarding Stephen Curry for the entire series. But what that does for a player that young is now they know what it takes to be a great defender, not in the regular season, but against the best players in the league. So when I say that I want these guys to be punched in the face, I want them to understand what it means to lose in the playoffs, because you can't skip the line in the NBA. You can't go from a lottery team to the Eastern Conference Finals. You have to go round by round and step by step. And the only way to do that is to experience losing. So I hope the Hornets can get there, lose, and then realize, okay, this is how we can regroup. Here's what I need to work on specifically so that next time we're in the same, we're in the same place, we don't make the same mistakes. And now we have that experience to build upon going forward.
Vice versa, for your welcome to NBA moment. Instead, it's your welcome to the postseason moment now.
Exactly.
I love that, Jerry. That was great. If we look at the NBA playoffs here, going outside of Charlotte now. I mean, I look at the Celtics. They're one of my favorites to look out for. I'm having trouble trusting Cleveland a bit because James Harden is hard to trust in the playoffs since he left Houston. Who do you feel like outside of the Celtics and the Pistons needs to be watched out for in the East? And then same can be said about the West outside of the Thunder that nobody's talking about.
So for the East, I'm going to go with the New York Knicks. I was someone last year who said, you know what? Even when the Celtics were down, when they were down 2-0 in that series last year, I was still saying the Celtics are going to win this series because I thought that their championship pedigree would be enough to overcome what the Knicks had in that 2-0 lead. But New York kept proving time and time again that they have guys who are, physical, who know how to win in the margins, who can make the right plays when the game gets, under 5 minutes, when it's a crunch time game. And I understand that the Knicks season hasn't maybe gone as some people would have expected, but they're the 3rd seed in the Eastern Conference. We're acting like they're the 6th seed. No, Jalen Brunson is still Jalen Brunson. Karl Anthony Towns, for as much flack as he's gotten this entire season, he's still an all-NBA caliber player. They still have elite defenders in Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby who can not be the best defenders. I don't know how to put this. So when I look at Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, are there players out there who can shut them down? Absolutely not. But if you were to pick 2 guys in the Eastern Conference to guard those players, one would be OG Anunoby, the other would be Mikal Bridges. So for the Knicks, I'm just thinking, you know what? If everything can go their way, if they can keep the game close down to the last 4 minutes and then allow Jalen Brunson to do what Jalen Brunson does best, I'd say they're my dark horse in the East. And then in the Western Conference, this one is tough. And I don't want to say the Spurs. I don't want to say the Thunder, like you said. Part of me wants to say the Nuggets, but their road to the finals would be incredibly hard. It would be the Timberwolves in the first round. It'd be the Spurs in the second round, and then the Thunder in the third round. And that is an absolute gauntlet of a Western Conference path to the finals. So to answer your question, man, this is tough. You know what? No matter what I just said, I still have to go with the Nuggets because at the end of the day, they still have Nikola Jokic, who's at worst the second best player in the league. They have guys like Aaron Gordon, who now have that championship pedigree. Jamal Murray and Jokic have that 2-man game that hasn't gone away. Peyton Watson took a little bit of a leap when Nikola Jokic sat out with an injury earlier in the season. I've seen their players come up big before. They also added veteran talent like Tim Hardaway Jr. and Cam Johnson. They have guys who've been in those places before, Bruce Brown as well. So if I had to put money, let's say, on a team that isn't the Thunder or the Spurs, the third pick I'd have in the Western Conference is the Denver Nuggets.
Well, Scout, we do have Matt Miller waiting. So anything you want to say to ask Jeremy before we go to commercial?
No, I just want to thank Jeremy for coming on, but I'll say this. Do you think it's the same situation with the Spurs? Why, you don't think they could win it or at least win the West is because they need to be quote unquote popped in the mouth first, like Charlotte?
Yes, absolutely. And I think a lot of people kind of push back on me for that take, and that's completely fair. But go back through NBA history and tell me a team that's first year in the league or first year in the playoffs makes a run and beats the Nuggets who won a championship and beats the Thunder who won a championship. You just can't. There are guys like Dwayne Wade in 2006 who were able to do it, but he made the playoffs a year before. It wasn't his first time in the playoffs. And again, it's not a bad thing to lose in the playoffs. It's a necessary thing to lose in the playoffs. So I would say the Spurs are an excellent team. They have excellent players. They have a team that actually matches up really well with OKC. However, when it's 5 minutes left in the game and it's game 5 on the road, can you execute better than the team that's already been there? I think not, and that's why I'm still choosing the Thunder in the Western Conference.
Thank you. Appreciate your answer.
Thank you, Jeremy, for coming on. Jeremy Grandison from Forecast Sports hopped on. And Jeremy, good luck to the Hornets over in Orlando. I don't know if you'll be able to go over Orlando or not. I know you'll cover it either way, whether it's remotely or in person. But thank you for your time and for your coverage, man. We appreciate it.
TJ, anytime, man. I'm always happy when I see a DM pop up. TJ Wilkerson hit me up. I'm like, let's go, man. So
yeah, man. I love talking to you in and outside of sports, man. You're just a fun conversationalist.
I appreciate it, TJ. TJ, thanks again. And Scout, nice to meet you. Hopefully we can do this again soon, fellas. I'll see y'all later.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We'll be right back. Matt Miller in the green room. We'll get to him after these commercials. Please don't go anywhere. This is the Fast Lane, 93.3 FM, 1320 AM, Lynchburg.
Don't miss the declaration of deals during our spring clearance at Magic City Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Buy now with big incentives or low financing, or we'll pay your state sales tax. Your choice. Plus no payments for 90 days. Don't miss the savings, like $6,500 off MSRP on a new Jeep Grand Cherokee. Plus no payments for 90 days at Magic City Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, 1750 Independence Boulevard in Bedford. MagicCityBedford.com. Stock number BT12821 with approved credit. See dealer for details. Ends 4/30/26.
Whether you're facing a tough season or looking for support to overcome life's obstacles, Central Virginia Counseling is here for you. Central Virginia Counseling is accepting new clients at both Lynchburg locations on Wigington Road and Timberlake Road. And telehealth is available anywhere in Virginia. Serving children, teens, and adults, our counselors are equipped with diverse skill sets to help you on your journey. For more information, visit us at centralvirginiacounseling.com.
Hey, small to medium business owners, if you're frustrated with slow IT support, high costs, or paying for services you just don't use, it's time for a change. Hi, I'm Colt with We Fix Stupid Computers. We provide reliable on-site and remote support tailored for businesses just like yours. And we go beyond just fixing problems. We empower your staff with real tech knowledge so they can work smarter every day. From repairs to training to full IT support, we save you time, stress, and money. Call We Fix Stupid Computers, 434-525-8590, where smart support meets real savings.
Are you sick of running your dryer longer just to dry your clothes? It might not be a dying appliance. It might be a clogged up dryer vent. Call Black Goose Chimney Service to find out. Their certified ventilation specialists don't just diagnose chimneys. They also clean dryer vents through the entire ventilation system. Get peace of mind as you're protected from lint clogging your dryer vents, one of the most common causes of house fires. Call Black Goose Chimney Service today and visit blackgoose.net to schedule your dryer vent cleaning.
Commercial turf is your business. Supporting it is ours. At Miller Built Outdoor Equipment in Lynchburg, we're focused on professional turf equipment. Toro commercial zero turns, professional handhelds, fleet planning, and service support built for uptime. Whether you're running 2 mowers or 20, we help you build the right setup from day one. Built around your turf, Miller Built Outdoor Equipment on 12th Street in Lynchburg.
Step into the fast lane 24/7 at Trey Lyle VT and Fast Lane Ed Lane on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Now, back to the fast lane.
1 week from today, the 2026 NFL Draft will be kicking off. It's crazy to believe we are already here, but we are. The long-awaited wait is finally here. As we get closer and closer now to NFL draft talks, you got to get into the mix from different draft experts on their takes. Everyone's releasing a mock draft here, and a guy that's been doing this since 2006 with his own website before eventually going to Bleacher Report and now ESPN. We're excited to have him on the show today. It's Matt Miller from ESPN. Matt, I got to ask, what is it about the NFL draft that you love?
Oh my gosh. I feel like the draft is like Christmas morning. You're opening all these presents. And so it's the excitement of who's going to go where, what are teams thinking? I've always been obsessed with the team building aspect of it, of what teams view as their weakness, how they're going to fix those, how they're going to solve their problems. So I love that side of this for sure.
Absolutely. It feels like almost a pageant, almost in the sort of ways. You've got players walking down the carpet, ready to be picked up by their future NFL team who they hope they prosper with. And it's one of my favorite times as well. I'm really excited. A lot of people, they say that if a quarterback class isn't as exciting for an upcoming draft, then the draft class isn't really as hyped up. And I know there's been a lot with Dante Moore not going to the draft. He stayed. Trinidad Chambliss, maybe if his case hadn't gone through, he would have gone to the NFL draft. Ty Simpson and Garrett Nussmeier falling off a little bit. Drew with the injury. Do you feel like despite Fernando Mendoza being considered the only quarterback with potentially Ty Simpson in the first round, that this is still a good draft class?
Yeah, I do. So it doesn't have, like you're mentioning there, it doesn't have the premium players right at the top, but I still feel like we have guys in Jeremiah Love, Caleb Downs, Fernando Mendoza, Sonny Styles. We still have really good players that no matter the year, they would be praised, right? No matter 2024, 2025, whatever it would be, they would still be considered top players. And so even with the lack, of the great players that you mentioned, I still think that it's a good group at the top.
Absolutely. I especially feel like this is one of the best defensive classes that we've seen. I mean, especially at the safety position. I feel like we have 3 safeties that could go first round, Matt. It's obviously Caleb Downs. I look at the kid from Toledo who I think the Cowboys could pick up with their second pick, whether or not they trade up with the Cleveland Browns and get him later or so forth. Outside of the Cleveland Browns who people are saying are ready to trade out of the top 10, could you see a team that maybe goes, none of these top 10 prospects potentially are for us? Could you see somebody trading out of the top 10 outside of maybe Cleveland?
Yeah, I think Cleveland's the one that makes the most sense. But I'll tell you, I've talked to a lot of teams in that group. Cleveland, I think Washington would be open to trading out from 7. I think New Orleans would be open to trading out from 8. Kansas City probably stays at 9, but it does seem like there's several teams, and it'll be one of these things. I think we'll see it happen on the clock where teams realize, who's gone already. Okay, cool. We're bouncing out. Right. And so that's going to be kind of fascinating to watch this year as the board gets wiped out. I only put 12 first round grades out this year. So it's a limited pool, and not every team is going to have needs at each of those positions. Right. So, if you're set at edge rusher or you're set at corner, that shrinks that number for you quite a bit. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see those teams at the back half of the top 10. And we might see it again in the 20s where teams are trying to bail out of there as well.
Matt, you mentioned the Commanders, the team that we cover here at VTR and Sports. By the way, Matt Miller from ESPN joining the Fastlane show. What position or lack of position would cause Washington to trade out of 7, you feel like?
So if Cardinal Tate's gone, that I think wide receiver is a pretty big need for this team. So if Cardinal Tate's gone, okay, do you stay and pick someone? Do you take an outside corner? If there's still questions. Trey Amos is obviously there. I hope he develops into something. I was a big fan of his coming out of Ole Miss. But do you take a wide receiver? Do you grab Mekhi Lemon? Do you grab Jordan Tyson? Do you take Sonny Styles if he still happens to be there? So I think Washington at 7 is interesting, just based on I feel like there's a couple players like, okay, if Jeremiah Love's there, you would take him. If Cardinal Tate's there, you'd take him.
Absolutely.
Sonny Styles is there, you'd take him. Otherwise, I feel like that's a team that definitely can move out.
What can Washington not afford to lose in this first round, considering they don't have a second round pick unless they build some capital?
Yeah, so I would go back to those 3 players, right? Like
Right.
Those are the positions that you're kind of targeting. And I think it's a team that right now, you could always draft an offensive lineman, right? You could always draft another corner. But I think those are the spots where you would like to get, I think receiver is almost a critical need for them at this point.
Yeah.
So, you can move back, but you got to be careful, right? Because Kansas City could take one at 9. Miami could take one at 11. The Rams could take one at 13. So if you're going to move back, you still have to keep that in mind. It's like, okay, if we slide back 4 spots, we got to make sure there's, 3 other players that we like here that are still going to be available. But the more I've gotten into studying team needs and looking at future needs, contract situations, I keep going back to gosh, the Commanders have to get a wide receiver. Terry McLaurin's on the other side of 30. He's coming off an injury. He's got a big contract. And there's not that entrenched number 2. I'm hopeful that Diami Brown becomes that guy. I'm hopeful that Luke McCaffrey and Jalen Lane become, good players for them, but it hasn't happened yet. Right. And so I look at it and say, it feels like, I think you could say the same about running back, but you can patch together a backfield better than you can a receiver core.
So let's say Cardinal Tate's not there. Let's say there's a team that takes him. All right, you trade back. Are you thinking Omar Cooper Jr.? Are you thinking maybe Mekhi Lemon, who people are worried about the injury aspect? Do you think Washington would take a shot at Lemon if he's there? Or maybe they jump the gun with KC?
Yeah, so I actually love Mekhi Lemon. He's my top receiver in this draft. And so if he's there, to me, like I would even consider him at 7, just based on the type of player that he is. And it's different from what they have on this team already, right? And so you're trying to build out that different looks at your receiver core. So I would definitely consider Mekhi Lemon. I love Omar Cooper Jr. Like when you said that name, my ears kind of perked up. Like I love the fit for him, with what they already have in this offense, giving you that run after catch ability, the ball skills, how well he plays back shoulder. I think when you have a quarterback like Jaden Daniels, this is something that Kansas City does really well. When you have that, brilliant young quarterback, you got to give them everything they could possibly need. And so whether it be protection or weapons, you got to load up on those. And that's I feel like the Commanders are in that spot right now.
We'll go over Matt Miller to the Baltimore Ravens, another team that we cover extensively here at VTRN. I know they're a little further out, but we've been able to get coverage from them before. I feel like tight end, from my perspective, I'm not an expert like you, right? But I feel like when you lose 2 tight ends in free agency, especially Isaiah Quickly, who you were hoping would become your rising star, and then Harbaugh steals him from underneath them, brings him to New York. Is Sadiq from Oregon the perfect fit for the Ravens? Like more perfect than a couple forced to be together on a Hallmark movie?
It's a pretty good fit. It really is. I'm a big fan of his. I think I'm a little bit older, so when I watch him, and Commanders fans will remember this, I see Vernon Davis, right? With that speed, the toughness, what he can do up the seam. So I do think it's a fantastic fit for them. They have some other needs, right? And so it's like, gosh, at 14, is that a luxury pick to take a tight end? Losing Isaiah Likely, you have Andrews on the other side of 30. I think you could make him the pick. They don't have that number 2 tight end right now, right? Where you're saying, okay, this is going to be the guy. And, as 12 personnel, as 13 personnel becomes more popular, I think you really do need that second tight end. So if he's there at 14, it makes a lot of sense for me. It's tough with Baltimore because it's a spot where you feel like DeCosta is always going to value the trenches first, but they've spent picks on receiver, they've spent picks on corner, safety has been a spot for them. So you look at tight end, gosh, that it is a need for them, and he is such a good player.
Matt Miller from ESPN joining us here. A couple more questions for you, Matt, before we let you go. I know you've got a busy slated schedule. I'm curious about your thoughts on Ruben Bain and how far he may fall out of the draft, considering everything that's coming out, and as well as his small arm frame size that people have been talking about even before this case popped up. Do you feel like if he does fall, which probably would happen, do you feel like he would be a steal for a team to get in the double digits of the first round?
He could be. And so I struggle. Like the car accident, that's been like a known thing.
Yeah.
Everyone's vetted that. The charges were dropped. Like, I think you kind of got to just set that aside, right?
Agreed.
The arm length is the question mark, right? To be under 31-inch arm length, you're a historical outlier at this point. He'll be the first player since 1999 drafted in the first round with sub 31-inch arms as an edge rusher. The question is, in that same time span, there's never been an edge rusher to have 10 plus sacks in the season with sub 31-inch arms. And so I think that's where you get caught up on him. Like you're trying to balance the tape, which was phenomenal. I mean, what he did in the college football playoffs was unreal. So you're trying to balance the tape versus the analytics essentially. So that's where I struggle with Bain. He could be the steal of the draft. And I do think he's going to take a little bit of a tumble. Maybe it's 9 to Kansas City. Maybe it's 10 to Cleveland, 10 to Cincinnati. Maybe it's 14 to Baltimore. I do think he's going to take a tumble based on the arm length though.
Matt, I was in the Zoom press that you did a week or two back, and something you had mentioned, you felt like this corner class, there's like a handful of really good chances for starters for corners, but then after that it dies down. Who are the corners you feel like could start in the NFL today?
Yeah, so Mansour Delane is certainly up there from LSU. Jermod McCoy from Tennessee is up there. The drop happens there, right? There's 2 really good ones, and then there's a drop. You get to the next tier of Avion Terrell, Chris Johnson, Brandon Cisse, Colton Hood, D'Angelo Pons, right? Like, so you have those big drop-off points, but tier 2 is good. It's just probably going to be late first round, early second round more than anything else.
Where do you see Chandler Rivers of Duke fitting into that? Do you feel like with how good he is at nickel and everything, do you feel like that gives him an advantage to be a early second round or late second round pick? Right now he's slated at third. At one point he was considered first for a while, but it dropped off.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have him late second, early third. And I think you're right to point out at that point of the draft, you're looking at like, okay, what is your strength? What is your, kind of your business card? And for Rivers, it is that ability to play inside, and speed, 4.40 speed. It's just a lack of size, corners, nickel corners are always going to get bumped down, unfortunately, despite the fact that they're incredibly valuable. Him, Keontae Scott, D'Angelo Pons, Abney from Arizona State, all those guys are getting bumped down a little bit based on, if you just watch the tape, and you're like, gosh, this dude started like 45 games at Duke. He's 4 years there. He's, competitive toughness is through the roof. Maybe he doesn't have great size or length, but he's played in zone and man. He's got short area quickness. Like he has all those things. It's just, oh wait, now, but he's a nickel. So we're gonna bump him down around basically.
Matt Miller from ESPN has joined us, and we're gonna finish it off with this, Matt. 2 questions for you before you go. Chandler Morris entering the draft. You and I talked about Jamari Taylor on that Zoom call, and you talked about how he's already could be a rotating running back, and you talked about the high of those. But you look at Chandler Morris entering. I know he's probably more of a late round pick. Do you feel like he could be one of those quarterbacks selected at 6 to be like, hey, we need a third string, potential second string QB? Or do you think maybe he just goes undrafted because he was late to the party?
That's the struggle. So every team I've talked to, no one has a draftable grade on him based on what I've heard. And a lot of that is, the timing hurts him. Like he didn't get to go through this process like everyone else did. So I think that's where he's at right now. Again, I don't have any feedback that he's, going to be a draftable guy. Obviously, coach's son, there's so much that you like about him. He's been all over, a little bit of an older prospect, a little bit of a smaller prospect. But it doesn't sound like the draft is going to be a spot where he gets his name called. He'll be one of those priority free agent guys.
And then we'll end it on here, Matt. Malik Willis now, as our fan base for Lynchburg, where we're located, is for the Liberty Flames. And I spoke with you on the Zoom call, but I figured I'd go ahead and put it out in the air since we didn't get the soundbite. Malik Willis now being the highest paid quarterback now for the Miami Dolphins. There's been talks that maybe he could have some say in the draft, and he and CJ Daniels being former teammates. I know Daniels a late 6th, 7th round pick, but do you feel like Malik could have that say if CJ Daniels is still there, kind of like Andrew Luck did when they got his tight end back in 2012 in the 2nd round with Colby, and then a few years back, Trevor Lawrence had a say in Travis Etienne, HN as he says it's pronounced. Everyone says ETN later on.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. And I think when you have someone, it's not that CJ Daniels also, like, he's a good player, right? And so that's the important part of it is. So, yeah, I do think we could see, Malik say, here's a guy that I have some familiarity with. You can basically vouch for this player. I think that'd be fun, right? I mean, he was at Liberty for 4 seasons, had a ton of success there at LSU, to start. I think he started 22 games at LSU over the past 2 years, right? So he's had that production at now a power 4 and a blue blood power 4 at that. So, what he can do with his route tempo, his body control, speed at the top of his route is really impressive. So if he's there 7th round, you would hope that your quarterback pops into the room and is like, hey guys, by the way, here's a player that I'm already comfortable with and familiar with. It happens more often than you'd think where, what was it? Mahomes and Rashee Rice working out together before the draft, and Mahomes was like, hey, I really like this guy. He's good. And the Chiefs drafted him. So there's definitely, those connections help.
Absolutely. And it helps to get insight from Matt Miller of ESPN a week out before the draft. Matt, thank you for joining the show today, man, and have a great day. And we're excited for the draft, man. I know you are.
I am. Thanks so much, man. I appreciate
your time. Thank you so much. With that being said, I'm TJ Wilkerson, Scout Hughes in the studio. That's all for us in the Fast Lane. We'll have Ed Lane back for you tomorrow.
This player in this basketball team, there's no way he can be a leader in this basketball team. When he had that in Memphis, he just completely frittered it all away. He's at a point in his life is, what can I do to make sure I'm the right guy in the locker room? make sure I'm the right guy for this organization. Don't worry about facing the franchise stuff. Don't worry about being a superstar kind of stuff. Wherever that joy was in basketball that made you the superstar that you were coming out of Murray State,